Welcome to Pause Button with Storytime Gamer and Bob,
a weekly podcast covering gaming news, reviews, and all things geek.
I'm your host, Storytime Gamer, also known as Eric, and I stream a variety of games on my YouTube channel, StorytimeGamer.com, with a focus of story-driven games, role-playing, and horror. I also love anything from 80s and 90s pop culture.
And I'm Bob, bringing you games you can chill to. Survival crafting, factory management, and open-world RPGs. Anything you can play while listening to a podcast, an audiobook, or watching Netflix.
Send us your thoughts, ideas, and reactions to emails at pausebuttongaming.com. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast so you always have the latest episode for when you need to step back from life and press pause.
All right, let's get to the show. Eric, there's an avalanche of news on here.
Yes, and I hope we can get ourselves unburied by it. Lots and lots of things have come about and
so many things
popped up and controversies and just I don't know. It's almost what's the word? Not a conspiracy, but
I was gonna say delicious.
Well, it's delicious, very delicious. It's been helping ease that appetite of wanting new things to talk about. But it's a scandal. There's lots of scandals, and I think that's what's interesting and delicious about it. But before we get into,
let's dig in.
Before we dig in, did you get a chance to look at that ultra realistic game demo on Unreal 5?
I did.
My God, when I saw that, I was like, no, this is someone with a GoPro.
I know.
And then once you get into like the little area where there's like trees, like, okay, I can kind of see it. So yeah, for everybody, take a look at it. It's in the show notes. Look below, link if you haven't seen already. It's amazing. I can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully something happens. But also, it makes me mad because I'm waiting for all these other game developers to get on board and make stuff on the Unreal 5 and get on with it.
Well, it did just come out, so we're going to start to see that stuff. This one is the first time I thought I will be upgrading my video card at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking my 3080 Ti was going to carry me for many years. But when stuff like this starts coming out, yeah, I'll be pouring my money back into a new gaming rig and a new graphics card so I can have that level of fidelity.
Right.
Just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been wanting out of our next-gen consoles for so long. And I think there was a culprit that was named this week in a news article. Let me see. Where was it? I thought I had it on here. A
culprit. That sounds ominous.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, so according to Video Games Chronicles, the developers claim many studios are asking Xbox to drop mandatory Series S compatibility. And if you read through the article, you find out that it's because of the S that many of these games are being, they're dumbed down from the ground up so it can work on the S, which is what I've been pissed about for like anything like, it's PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 when it's an exclusive. So like my Horizon for Forbidden West, our Horizon Forbidden West, I've been worried like, oh crap, they made this for the 4 and then just, made the graphics look way nicer on the 5 instead of like really pushing it. And I wouldn't be surprised if, say, a cross-platform game is like, okay, it's supposed to run on the S, but then we'll like put in the 4K textures for the other versions. And so that ray tracing that we've been really dying for in all these other consoles, it's not there because of the stupid S, unless they like can actually turn it on and off with a little switch. And
yeah, this was really interesting because, you and I both got the new consoles when they came out.
Yes.
I believe, we both have PS5s and Xbox Series X's. And it was like, there's no good games out. Oh, you got the S?
Yeah, see, I got the S.
And at first, I think
Go ahead.
I think they blamed it on the pandemic and supply chain stuff. And all the developers like, our games are delayed. And we're kind of like, all right, we'll give you some slack. Well, here we are 2 years later.
Yeah.
And I kind of think this has been the dynamic drive again. And I get it. I mean, they're selling a lot of those S's, which mean people don't want to pay $500 for a console.
Right.
They need games to play on them. And I guess there's not enough of the, prosumer out there to support those devices.
Right. And it's to the point where, okay, either you get like, okay, we're going to make this game. It's next gen. We want to make it look the best, but we want to make sure everyone buys it. And so, well, we need to make it for the S because there's so many of them. I think it's stupid. That needs to stop. I mean, you have to make a cutoff and can't keep leeching onto an old generation. Even if it is the S, it's supposed to be new. I mean, I like it, but I've noticed in certain games recently, especially Scorn, that just stuff isn't doing what it's supposed to do. It's not what it was promised, if that makes sense. And you can tell that it's being...
They got to sell... These game companies need to sell these games. They need to sell as many copies as they can to make back their investment. I get it. What they need is a technology solution, like maybe the Unreal 5 engine will solve it for them, so it'll make a version that works on lower consoles, but they can take full advantage. I don't know, man. It's disappointing, but it's like everyone needs their games.
Yeah.
They got to sell lots of these games. I get it.
Yeah, you got to sell the games, but we also deserve good quality games. And when you spent the $500, $600 on that new console instead of, well, I want the best version, and you find out this really isn't the best version because the game was dumbed down to begin with, then it feels like a ripoff, in my opinion.
I mean, the new Call of Duty looks incredible.
Oh my God, yes,
and
it does.
It's on the S console, isn't it?
Well, yeah, there'll be an S version. Yeah. Especially the Amsterdam level. I've been interested to play the campaign. I'll probably pick it up when it's cheaper. But I'm guessing that they were able to figure a way to make it look amazing on next gen, and then dumb it down enough for the S. And
it is.
But it's Call of Duty.
It is breathtaking.
It's Call of Duty, and that's the thing that people are also griping about, how awesome that Amsterdam level. It's like, this should be more, but because it's so linear that they don't need that much in it, if that makes sense, for building that kind of level amongst and then there's all these other levels with it, all the assets and everything else. It just shows you the power once rendering happens, but the S probably doesn't need that much to pull up and run the level, just the assets to render it or lower.
I mean, in an era where you can game on everything from a tiny little phone,
yes,
which can be very powerful, but also can be very weak, to a gigantic top line console, we need games really that can scale. Yes. All the way up and all the way down.
Yeah, and they do. And speaking with Call of Duty, apparently the disc is empty. I mean,
you got your disc. That's what you wanted. You wanted a disc, so you got your disc.
Well, here, according to Kotaku, what they have found out is players who received early physical copies of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 have reported the discs included and contain only about 72 megabytes of data, which forces you to just, you have to be on the internet and download the 150 gigabytes of data, which this sucks for people who don't have internet access or don't have high-speed internet. Imagine you have a teenager who wants to play this game, doesn't even go online. They just like the shooting aspect, and they're so excited to play it, and they get it, and it's like, oh, I can't even play it because we don't have high-speed internet or internet at the home. They've just been left in the dust.
Maybe they could go outside and touch grass while the game's downloading.
Go outside and touch grass. Yeah, you mean 2 weeks later? Play it?
Right.
I think that's a sham. The game needs to be on there, and I get when you have a huge day one patch, but the game needs to be on the fracking disc.
You're big on these discs, man.
Well, the whole point of it is the game's there, and then say 5 years from now, there's something that happens on with the acquisition of the Call of Duty parent company from Microsoft, and you can't play it on PlayStation anymore. And because they took away all the digital versions, therefore, if you don't have it on your drive, even though you bought it, you can't download it again. So you're screwed.
Well, isn't Call of Duty also doing the thing where they're making you put your real phone number in?
What? I don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that on a future episode. But this was a whole scandal from last week. To authenticate users, you have to put in a real phone, and it can't be a burner phone. It's got to be tied to a real account. So it's like, all the people that don't have phones. And it's a cheater thing. They want to ban people who are cheating because it's so bad, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's like you're putting all these barriers in front of people. You got to have a massive internet connection. Now you got to have a phone,
right,
to play this game. Okay.
Well, because it's the
I don't play Call of Duty.
The money is in the microtransactions for these, or on the online multiplayer. Obviously, and I'm just like, that's so stupid. Obviously, it's not about the shooting and the fun anymore. It's not for the gamers, is it? And
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of griping and complaining on this episode because the news only gets worse.
Oh yeah, I'm just about to get into the next thing. So I remember,
oh no,
I guess it was about 2 years ago, or whenever they announced Gotham Knights. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. I can't wait. It's Arkham. Well, it's not. I knew it wasn't from Rocksteady. They were busy. They're busy doing Suicide Squad, which I'm excited for that. But this it feels like it's gotten so much meh and bad reviews and everything from Gotham Knights when you're playing, Batman's dead and you're playing the Children of the Bat, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood, which it's like Red Hood's like a go back and forth enemy frenemy type character, it seems.
It's really breathtaking how bad it is. I mean, there's so many ways that it's bad.
Yeah.
We could talk the whole hour.
We could
on it.
I haven't played it. You haven't touched it. Okay. I want to try it at one point.
No,
but
you
yeah,
don't.
we'll gripe about it more in a little bit. But I mean, the biggest things are, one of the things that came out and was, not talked about at all until it finally launched was 30 FPS on console, which I'm fine with that. But at the same time, no option to have it at 60 is a little bizarre, especially like on a
very bizarre.
When you have it, you would think that next gen consoles could handle the 60 FPS. But
it's very bizarre.
That ain't happening.
It's bizarre, especially in light of, I don't know if you saw, there's a YouTube video that I've linked here. It says these two games are 7 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows Batman Arkham Knight on the left and Gotham Knights on the right. I mean, the original Batman game looks better. It plays better.
Yes.
It drives better. It fights better in every way.
Yes. No. I've seen that. I've seen several of those comparisons. It's amazing how they've dumbed down the look or the feeling or something. I don't know what it is. Like, even it's like, well, we put ray tracing there. It's like they've been able to fake ray tracing in games forever.
Yeah.
And Arkham Knight looks so much better than what they were able to produce. It's just amazingly.
Yeah.
I don't understand why or how that happened. Even if it's like, well, it's a bigger map. No, that shouldn't be a reason why your graphics suck. The water, the rain, the combat. Like you were telling me that you can't even counter, and I didn't even know that. Or
there's no counter system.
I haven't read someone like saying you couldn't do that, and then there's no counter system. I watched someone play. I'm like, oh my god, how can you play this without the counter?
You're just button mashing. You're just mashing, waiting for your specials to reload.
Yeah. It's like it's more RPG than it should be, if that makes sense. And
it's really strange.
Yeah.
And they do have I have seen a lot of complaints about the in-app purchases.
For the cosmetics?
For the cosmetics, but it's just like what?
Ugh.
It's crazy that given the lineage of this game, that they made these types of mistakes and they saw this coming. I mean, the impressions of this game have been mediocre from the start.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't correct them, the game's worse than it looked.
Right. No, yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, I've listened to podcasts all week long. I've heard several reviewers just talking about it's not just the graphics, it's not just the feel of the combat, the feel of the driving. It's the dialogue. It's the story is weak.
Yes, one of the biggest complaints is like it's kind of okay and a little bit interesting to play, and it's a little different as you go through. But then apparently the last third just really sucks. It's like they had to throw it together, mash it together, like they didn't know what they were doing. And it's like, really, I thought we were past this. But Cyberpunk, if everybody remembers that incident with not necessarily the story, but just pushing that game out and just buggy, glitchy, horrible, can't even play it. So I don't know if there's any patches that can fix this.
Just so we're all clear, we don't take any pleasure in a game failing like this, especially a AAA title with a beloved franchise. This is a bummer.
This is.
We want this game to be good. It's like a train wreck, though. It's like you just kind of look at it and go, how did this happen?
Right. And I'm a big fan of the Arkham series ever since Arkham Asylum came out. Even the quote unquote bastard child with Batman Origins, which was made by this company, because for some reason they had all the assets to the Rocksteady game and then just kind of pulled it over and did a whole other story, which was amazing. It was great. I loved it. It was kind of unsung, but this was such a great thing, and then it's been killed, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's gone way of how the Avengers game came, and that came with such acceptance as well. But anyway.
Well, the good news for you is it's probably going to be on Game Pass before too long.
And you'll get to try it then. Yeah, once it's on Game Pass, I'll try it. So in other news, for me, and this was controversial too, there was a huge Silent Hill announcement, a big news conference in the past week. Silent Hill 2 Remake was announced. Several other games were coming out. Silent Hill F, which looks like a more Japanese culture based Silent Hill, looks really creepy with all these flowers. Townfall, which there is a Silent Hill Townfall. There's not much more than like a little radio kind of giving some dialogue and like making a creepy setting in the trailer. But the Silent Hill 2 remakes coming from Bloober Team, the team behind Layers of Fear and oh gosh, what was that? That game that came out with the detective, well, she's a psychic. The Medium. They did that.
Oh yeah.
Which that game was based off of a lot of Silent Hill vibes. So I guess Konami's like, we liked what you did, so we're gonna get you to remake our Silent Hill 2. And so there's people, because that's what old Japanese people at Konami sound like. But what's happening is that fans of the game, I'm a fan of Silent Hill 2 because it was so creepy. They are worried. The fans are worried that they won't do well because of Bloober Team. They do decent enough work, but at the same time, there's something off about the final product. And I'll say that there's felt like there was something different from what I was seeing in the trailers for Silent Hill 2 Remake, but I'm not going to judge anything yet until we see more, just like everything else. But I'm excited. That's good news for that horror franchise. It's been dead, even though I will say, because whenever PT was killed, we have had all these other games come out that have been spectacular, like Layers of Fear. We wouldn't have Layers of Fear without PT being killed by Konami. So now Konami's like, well, I guess we need to get back in the game. So that was good about that. And actually, I'm going to skip ahead to another article and talk about the Resident Evil 4 remake. It has its announcement. Another remake. Wow. I'm excited. I loved Resident Evil 4. It looks amazing. I'm going to pick it up and play it. It comes out in March 2023. You can pre-order it now. So I'm excited about that. Game of Thrones and Dark Souls trailer came out for Final Fantasy 16 and a release date of this coming summer. I'm excited. I don't think I've ever seen that much blood in a Final Fantasy game, honestly. Or as much brutality to people and not monsters. But I'm like, okay, this is interesting. It's a different premise. Trying to go darker. It could be hit or miss.
I'd appreciate.
Do it
a little bit darker. I would appreciate.
Yeah, make it more Western,
a little more adult.
Yeah,
yeah.
To me, it's kind of the last Final Fantasy I really liked was 15 did well. I watched a Let's Play and I watched my girlfriend play that, and it seemed much more interesting than what has happened in the past. And online seems to be popular, but it's been missing its a spot in the spotlight, in my opinion. So hopefully Final Fantasy 16 will deliver. Xbox prices are possibly going to go up, and the same thing with Game Pass. It seems like Microsoft is kind of gotten on to the wind and change of what everyone else is doing, the tech world and inflation and everywhere else, and prices are probably going to go up. It hasn't been said if it is, but it sounds like the talks are in with Microsoft. With the consoles, it's probably going to be a $50 increase and then maybe a $5 increase for Game Pass. So $50 for consoles and $5 for the Game Pass.
Which, it's happening all over the industry.
Yeah, everyone's just increasing or go ahead and trying to curb it, this inflation, even though we're like in the heart of it. People are like, the recession ain't happening until next year. Like, no, we're kind of in it now. So they're just trying to make that the new norm. So there's that. Did you see the Fallout 4 next gen update announcement?
No, I didn't. I missed that. What's the deal with it?
So they're talking about a Fallout 4 next gen update coming out. I think next year. Yeah, in 2023. But for me, I'm like, okay, but where's my Elder Scrolls 6? I mean, we've got Starfield coming out, but I've been wanting to go back to, our Morrowind, our Skyrim, our Elder Scrolls, and not that stupid online crap. I don't like online playing with everybody else all the time. There's only certain multiplayers that I'll enjoy, but where is that? Because I feel like it's just going to be a new coat of paint on the Fallout 4, which, I mean, that's a fun game. I'll probably pick it up and see what it looks like, but really?
Yeah, it's going to be a while on refreshes of those other games. Or no, you said your Elder Scrolls 6. That's what you're talking about. What I'm saying. Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, where's
Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah, because they're going to get done with Starfield took forever to get put out, so it's like I feel like I'm going to be in my 50s before I get to play Elder Scrolls 6, and we'll have Skyrim 40th anniversary edition come out before.
But we can imagine an Elder Scroll using something like the Unreal 5 engine.
How's it going to be
that looks like that?
Yeah,
that game demo that you started out with. If it looks like that, oh my gosh!
No, I can only be so happy. I want that, but it's going to be like Unreal 10 before we get Elder Scrolls 6. The first screenshot, speaking of Fallout, first screenshot of Fallout TV series was released. It shows an image of what looks like the Vault Dwellers sending out one Vault Dweller out into the wasteland. And, I bet the whole idea of like, well, let's get the next gen version up. It's for sales. It's to help promote this TV series. And this is from Amazon making the TV series. So it's going to be hit or miss, even though I'm excited that it's going to come with Christopher Nolan's brother. He's producing it. So it's like the team behind Westworld has kind of got their fingers in it. So, it could be good. Or it could just be horrible.
I learned a lesson when the Halo franchise came out, on the TV series came out. I learned a lesson, which is,
I think we all did.
It does not matter how long running or beloved a franchise is. They could still screw up the TV adaptation.
Oh, no, they can
still screw it up.
They can, and they did with Halo.
Yeah, it can certainly be done well, but wow, they can really misread the audience.
Right. Yeah, and that's the money talking. Witcher 1 will have a remake in Unreal 5. That was revealed from CD Projekt Red this week. That was apparently one of the projects they had teased a couple weeks ago about they're going to remake it Unreal 5, which Geralt needs a facelift in that game. If you've never seen it, it feels like something definitely from the 2000s. Very basic. I would hope they match the combat system. Like basically take Witcher 3 and whatever they've done in Unreal 5 with that, and just move all those assets to Witcher 1. Yeah, with the story and all that. Was
The Witcher the original one? Was it top down?
No, over the shoulder. It's just very, very rudimentary, very basic in texture and in combat. But it was very much the same. You could see the skeletons and the bones and structure of the game, of the style, and everything else that came over to Witcher 2 and then straight over to Witcher 3. So maybe if they even make Witcher 1 look like Witcher 2, that would be grand. So we can only hope that happens. Which, speaking of which, the new Witcher news is that Henry Cavill's gone as Geralt in the TV series for season 4. It's going to be Liam Hemsworth.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I can only hope that they don't just, bat an eyelash and just hope everyone gets on with it. What I hope is that they take a good story route where Geralt loses his memory, which happens like in the games and not necessarily not the books, but like in the games, he loses his memory. And that's when they start taking some of the storylines from the games. And so we start off with Liam in that aspect. So it's kind of like you lose your memory. You don't even know who you look like as that kind of story element. So it could easily be played like, oh, we know you're Geralt, but you don't recognize yourself. And give him a couple scars on the face. So I think if we do that, I could buy it.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious to see what this does to the show, because I always felt like this was Henry Cavill's like fun kind of cosplay experiment. And I always felt like the shows were like when Henry Cavill would show up for filming, he's fully in the role.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like the around the edges of that, like some of the writing and acting, I didn't think was very strong, and I did not think season 2 was very strong. So
no, it wasn't.
The question is, you take Henry Cavill out, and Henry Cavill loved the material. There's no doubt about that. And I thought his Geralt was really good. Take him out, what happens to it? Does it fall flat, or is it somehow better? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Go ahead.
The material it's built on is so good.
Yes.
It's like you have to really work hard to screw it up.
Yes, you do.
And they did work hard to screw it up.
Yeah, you'd have to work hard to screw it up. Yeah. And who knows? He might even be better. A better Geralt.
Could be. Could be.
He could be. So as long as he gets that gravelly voice and everything else going, I think I think we'll be okay. It's Thor's brother, so it can't be that bad.
He doesn't seem like it's not who I would have picked, but okay, you're an actor,
right?
Act.
Yeah, act. Make me believe that you are who you are.
Yeah.
Did you have this article about Witcher game details revealed?
Did I put that in here?
I can't remember. I thought I had.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I did. Yeah, and there's not very many details about it. Just that they're planning a new property in the Witcher universe. It's not going to be Geralt, and basically, I'm down for that. Like, I want more of that. I want more Witcher.
There we go. More. Yes.
It's great. It's a great universe.
Yes, it is.
Give it to me.
Yes. That sounds good. And did you have this last article as well?
Yeah, I thought you'd like this.
Yes.
I saw that Callisto Protocol had been canceled in Japan, and I wanted to know why. And the reason is the violence and gore. Apparently, Japan, to be age appropriate, wanted them to dial down the violence and gore. And Callisto Protocol dev said, no, thank you. We just won't sell it in your entire country. And I thought, great. That means the violence and gore is going to be over the top. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I thought it was great news.
Oh, well, yeah. And, and it could be, it could just be a stand like, oh my gosh, the Americans made something that's better than our Resident Evil. We can't let this be in our country. We must make Resident Evil #1.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Because
interesting take. Yeah,
it could be that. But also, I actually heard about this article earlier in the week, and I looked into it myself, and I didn't realize that they make bloodier versions of Resident Evil in other games from Japan, bloodier for us, and more gore. They are heavily censored there. I haven't looked up to see what things they censor, which is weird because they have so much. Like porn games, they have so many porn games and nude games and more. Anime is very violent, and it's just weird that for video games that they do that. And it might be something with like, okay, if it's a human being, they can't allow such violence to a human, so it's like it has to be green blood or no blood. Versus like if there's a monster, yeah, you can slice it up and there's all this blood everywhere. But if it's human like or looking like, they can't be that violent. I don't know if those are the rules. But no, that was very weird. But also that makes me excited on the gore factor.
Yeah, me too.
Callisto Protocol, and I can't wait. I got it digitally pre-ordered, and I can't wait to play that in December.
What you been playing?
With what? Well, have Scorn. I talked about it before. I finished it. Have you watched any playthroughs or anything about it?
I've watched a little bit. I've listened to quite a few podcasters talk about it.
My 2 cents, and I want to hear what I haven't really. I've listened to a couple of reviews on it, and it's the exact same thing I thought when I was playing. It's a game that didn't know what it wanted to be. It was trying so hard to be a piece of art, which I think it is. It's a walking museum, art museum, but everything else that was put into it, I think, hindered that. But also the points of action and points of attention are so long and separated that I think it makes it boring for the gamer. Not saying that I have ADD and that everyone has ADD and they can't pay attention for more than 10 seconds. But there was just periods of just walking. And I get the idea that you want to have that sense of dread. Maybe you do that once per your game to give that sense of dread because you're like, oh my gosh, will it ever end? It happened more than once. But the combat sucked, and I come to find out, like, okay, the combat wasn't necessary either. There's areas where these creatures will walk about their business and go hide if you don't mess with them. And like, okay, that's a cool little thing. So it's kind of more of you have the weapons as a defensive thing, not to be, on the offensive. But it just didn't need to have any of that, in my opinion. It just needed to be a puzzle game with some of the art. And then it ends up being just a very ambiguous ending, which is fine. But it's something that I don't think I'll ever pick up again. Unless I'm just like, oh, I just want to go through this again and see how fast I can beat it. But I'm not a speedrunner.
Yeah. The people I heard talk about it were very underwhelmed. It's like, like we talked about one time, that the vibe alone was not enough to carry this game. And the vibe was great. Just like gross.
Yeah.
A gross puzzle game.
Yeah, there were several times while I was playing, like, why am I still playing this? And it's to the point, like, how much farther in this game is there? Do I want to even finish it? Just for the purpose of, like, I don't like not finish a game, especially if I'm trying to make a series out of it. Unless it's just like, okay, this was interesting the first time, that's it. If people are interested, I'll finish it, type of deal. And this was like, I don't know. But then there was like one area, it's at the very end of the game, that looks this beautiful mural. I'm like, all right, I really want to get there and look at it myself, because everybody else who showed it through their streams was like, just kind of ran through it. I'm like, really, I want to look at it, treat it like a museum, and not just the background and art and your design for the level. But yeah, no, it was just it was underwhelming. I was sad. Well, not sad, but just kind of like, really, that's it. All right, thanks, bye. Next. I also played this game called Born into Fear. All episodes are actually up and streaming on the YouTube channel, and it was just
what kind of game is this?
It's a weird jump scare game. Very basic. You're apparently the special agent going into this town, and there's like these puppet monster people called Sallies, and they're all controlled or some sort of what is it? Hive mind, I guess. I don't know. But you're supposed to explore the houses in this neighborhood to unlock the gate to this one big house where the main Sally lives. And each of these Sallys looks like a giant wooden puppet doll. And so there's versions of the Sally patrolling the streets, and they'll capture you and punish you by putting you in a house. Like, I got caught once, and I had to do homework, like actual math questions to get out of the house.
That's awesome.
But every time you go into the house that you're supposed to investigate to get these stars to unlock the gate to the big house, there's like chores you have to do, like clean the walls or put all the chairs back. And so the thing about it is, like, it's dark. You only have your flashlight. And there's jump scares just because the camera will yank. Every time you go to a house, there's different points where the Sally of the house will pop up. And so that immediately grabs the attention of your camera. So it'll whips your camera away when you don't control it. And of course, it's like a little sound, and it's like, whoop, it's a jump scare. The coolest thing about the game is the flashlight, because it came with 3 different modes. It came with like a normal flashlight, came with spotlight, so you could see further down or into distance, and then it came with like lantern mode, so you could see kind of around you. And I thought that was interesting, and I wish that happened more in other games that have a flashlight. But, you know, it's an interesting watch. It's very short. It took me, like, I guess an hour and a half to play through it, and I got one of 3 endings. I guess I got, like, the middle ending, and, I don't know, the jump scares were interesting. So, you know, it's good creepy feel, but it's simple, so nothing to be like, OMG, the best game ever. So, that's what I've been playing this week.
I've played several different games this week. I learned something about myself, which I kind of knew, but I really confirmed this week, which is I don't like finishing games. Especially my favorite type of game, the survival crafting game, like Grounded, perfect game, where you're building a base and stuff. Cult of the Lamb is the same. You get this little village that you build and these little cult followers. Both of these games, I got to the very end and I was like, I don't want to finish it. Like the last boss is just going to be this hard fight, and I was there for kind of the city building and stuff.
Gotcha.
So I got to the very end of Grounded. I'm probably done. I got to the very end of Cult of the Lamb. Fantastic game, but I'm not going to finish it. Now I'm playing Valheim. I went back to Valheim. I haven't played it in a year or so. And I may do the same thing with Valheim.
Oh, okay.
But I did get into Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting game, and it's free to play, so I think you ought to check it out.
Okay.
And you can play it on your PC or on a mobile device.
Yeah.
And it's made by some of the folks that made Hearthstone. It's got a lot of that same feel. Very kinetic, very tactile. And it's got just loads of really cool Marvel characters in it. The whole card collecting aesthetic is really nice. The card upgrading mechanic is really cool. And it doesn't put a lot of pressure on you to spend money. I don't really think it puts any pressure on you to spend money. It's a neat game. I don't know if I'm going to play it a whole lot because I'm not really into the PvP aspect of just playing against other people. But it's a good game, good solid game.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that because Marvel needs a good game to kind of bring back its name. I think in the gaming space, but. That's really cool. I'm glad that game is turning out well, and I've also read good reviews about it. It's like, oh snap, and just the cards and the different dynamics and everything. And so that's really cool. I'll have to try it out.
Yeah, you should. It's free to play, so give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll do that. We've kind of been alluding to it as we were talking about the news, and this is something we talked about before, but I think we really need to talk about it now with recent examples. It's just. When has it become, I guess, video game developers versus the people, as in the gamers? I feel like, we have court needs to come to session here, order in the court. we have the criminals are known as, Arkham Knights, everybody who's making a remake that is it's just in for the money. Madden developers, the Avengers game. Anything over the last, I feel like 3 years that has just been a big old cash draw. Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 4. We have the Dead Space remake coming out next year. It's to the point of, okay, they're being just as worse than Hollywood when it comes to let's take something, remake it instead of let's make something new. When all that money and time could have gone to something new, they decided to remake something.
Yeah, it does feel like things have shifted a little bit toward how can we make more money out of this and not how can we make an incredible game.
Right. Yeah.
I feel it in the air.
Yeah, like Arkham, like we were just talking about before, Arkham Knight doesn't look good. And that's part of it. But caveat, you don't need to have the best looking game to make a good game. We had Vampire Survivor, which we both like. It's not like the best graphics, but it's fun. But when you have Arkham Knight, which is already meh, from just, we haven't played it, but from everything we're getting from it, from the gameplay and the missions and the story, on top of really crappy graphics, it's like, why? Why?
Yeah, take all of the development effort you put into the in-app purchase system and put it in the game. Mm-hmm. Add the in-app purchases later, maybe. Make a game people want to play first.
Right. Yeah, just have that come out as DLC, not as something you kind of on day one.
Yeah, Yeah, it's not, I don't know. I mean, things are not past the point of no return, but they do feel like they've shifted a little bit. It makes me feel like I was in Vegas last weekend, and it reminded me of like everything in Vegas is designed to separate you from your money.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing is like, there's a little upsell here, there's a little upsell here, just little tiny things that you can do to enhance your experience that cost you more money, and most of them are just crap. You know? And that's where it's just like, we need to make more money out of these games. What can we do? And someone goes, we could make a better game. I'm like, shut up. Shut up, Johnson.
Yeah, I mean...
And purchases. That's what the kids want these days.
Right. You have Elden Ring. You know, here's the champion of the year so far. Come out, sold, billions of copies. No in-game transactions, no DLC yet. Can't wait for the DLC. But just,
I know,
that's a game. That is a game. That is what games need to be like. Not necessarily the context and the content, but just the mindset behind what is your end product supposed to be like in the hands of the player. Call of Duty. Duty. Is a piece of duty.
You said duty.
Yeah, it's a piece of duty because you get a disc. You have to download the whole game. If you buy a physical copy, it's not there. That is that to me feels like what is it? You know, so it's oh gosh, what is it? It's like
Bait and switch.
Well, bait and switch. It is false advertisement. That's what it is. You're not buying the game. I mean, yes, you're buying the rights to play it, but the game's not on the disc. You're still having to download it. And that's stupid. That is not.
You're really mad about these discs.
Yes, I live in a place where it's hard to get good internet. I have fought tooth and nail to get the higher speed internet I have now. But still, it's not, gig speed a second internet, which, I can't wait for that. Hell, it's not even.
It's pretty nice.
It's not even 100 megabytes out here. I've been getting just the bare minimum of 20 megabytes a second. If I'm lucky, 50 megabytes on a good day. That's the stuff I wish I had, those higher speed internet. So like where I am, I love having physical copies. So I could do all that stuff and play the games if there is no internet. So, I mean, this is Greed Corporation thinking, how can we be cheaper and try to get more money and not think about the actual game itself, but the distribution and what's going to sell. And that needs to stop.
Yeah, what's interesting about Elden Ring is clearly an iteration on their previous games. I mean, every Soulsborne game is an iteration on the previous game. You can tell that a lot of assets are being used from the prior game.
Oh, yeah.
They're just saying, hey, we've got this base engine. Let's build something on top of it, tell a new story. And they've done a fantastic job. I mean, look at Far Cry. Far Cry, they're doing the same thing, but Far Cry just gets watered down and watered down and watered down. Yeah. And the Elden Ring developers, FromSoft, has figured out how to do that and do it well. It can be done.
Yes.
So they're definitely achieving economies of scale by reusing their content. But man, they made a fantastic game.
Yes. Yes, they did, and it was amazing. And it's it's like, it's the same elements and mindset you get from Dark Souls 3, or this is very Bloodborne, but it's a entirely different game, entirely different everything. Compared to, well, it's Madden. Oh, it's glitchy. It's the same thing. Wow, great. I'm glad I spent another $70 from a game that was the same as last year, not something different. And then, corporation greed. I could bring up the whole thing about the voice actress for Bayonetta. That might be greed from the actress herself, but that little back and forth on, okay, if you don't want to take the money we're going to give you, we're going to just go to someone else. It's like, so we're going to, instead of the fans who've been in love with the series and love that voice actress, we're going to go with someone else. And, it might feel okay. It might feel a little different, but are we going to survive? They
went to a different beloved voice actress.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
good.
really interesting one. I think we talked about it last time because I usually take the side of the underdog or the employee.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
She's calling for a boycott of the game. Just
right. Yeah. And there's more that came out of it. Like Jennifer Hale apparently came back and said, okay, yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff. She did break an NDA though, which that's a big thing. Even if it's to voice actresses and actors apparently not paid that great, but it came out later. I was going to bring it up in an article, but I decided not to. It was it was only a couple hours of work. Like I thought it was, 5 hours of work for $4,000. Imagine about who makes, $4,000 for 5 hours of work.
I know. I mean, you're not entitled. She kind of was acting like she was entitled to more. And it's like, you don't have to take the job.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. Because there's voice actors. I'm in the commercial and advertising industry. And, there's voice talent that charge, what, $80, $100, $500 for 30 seconds. And it's usually in that, depending on who you're working with, okay, this is going to be an ad that'll run forever. This will be an ad that only runs for 1 year, and then you have to pay them after that, in royalties. So, I mean, that's the name of the business. So, yeah. Anyway, I feel like I'm getting off topic now with the gamers versus, but that goes back into the greed here of, okay, we're here for the players, or are we here for the companies? And then with the voice actress, I think, that's kind of a, it sucks for the players on that aspect, but I get the money idea.
No, they got Jennifer Hale.
They did get Jennifer Hale. No, I love Jennifer Hale. I'll take her anytime. But so for all these remakes that are coming out, all the remakes, even freaking Horizon Forbidden or Zero Dawn's getting a remake. We love these games. I love Dead Space. I love Resident Evil 4. I love Silent Hill 2. Of course I want a remake. But, I also would love a new Resident Evil. I'm getting Callisto Protocol, thank God, because Dead Space had been dead in the water for so long that I think, oh, shit, he's making Callisto Protocol, the original game developer for Dead Space. And EA's like, we need to remake our game and make money off of it, or else this guy's going to take everything. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a comparison when the both games come out. I'm going to be like, all right, who won between the remake and Callisto Protocol? That's what's going to happen.
I'm kind of curious. I know this discussion isn't about in-app purchases specifically, but I am curious what you think about cosmetic-only purchases versus like card packs in a collectible card game.
Okay, go on.
Hearthstone has card packs where if you have a lot of money, you can buy a lot of card packs and you'll get better cards. And there is a pay-to-win aspect to it. Marvel Snap's purchases are cosmetic only. So when you get a card, it looks like a basic card. And the first upgrade is called Frame Break, where the character gets a little bit bigger and they come out of the frame.
Cool.
And the next upgrade, I think, is 3D. So the card, it moves. It looks cool.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can pay for. Huh. Everything else is progression based. You have to play to win.
That's good.
And a lot of people are saying that if you're going to do in-app purchases, that this is the way to do it.
Yes.
And it's not they're not constantly putting it up in your face. Buy. They're actually trying to incentivize you to play the game.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of go around to figure out, I can actually buy these gems or whatever it is they use for. What do you think about that?
Well, I think definitely that sounds like the best way that companies should go forward. Especially if, I want to be, if I'm playing online or I'm playing with different people, I want to have a distinct look for myself. Like when I used to play Halo 3 online, I always wanted to have a certain armor and have a certain look. And that was me. And that was, of course, all earned through in-game. So I had to do achievements and unlock the armor. And it kind of was a status symbol. And I feel like that's how it should be compared to like Fortnite. Well, I just bought the booster pack. So I have the thing that everyone else has without necessarily, you have to grind to get to the other stuff. Or you buy the booster pack and you grind a little bit faster. Instead of, if you all just participated and you can all get it. And that's what it should be. It's just, you work for it and everyone else can be on that playing field, but then it becomes just something cosmetic only that sets you apart from other players. I'm all for that, for any type of online gameplay. Just like, like Marvel's Avengers. And I think that's where they got Marvel learned their lesson, because the Avengers game, it was all cosmetic. The purchases, like get this skin, and it was just for that look and nothing in the game. And it's just like, okay, well, that wasn't necessarily the best way to go about it, but it was here. But they kept shoving it down everyone's throat, which I would rather unlock that stuff through game stuff, or just, working through the game, or like, okay, I earned in-game points. No, I can unlock this stuff with in-game points.
Yeah, I mean, I believe everything in Fortnite is cosmetic, and they make...
Yeah.
I mean, they are the industry standard for in-app purchases. I mean, they make billions of dollars. I mean, they make tons of money on cosmetics.
Yeah, with the V-Bucks.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Roblox is worse. I think that...
Well, I would say, I mean, yeah, Roblox you can pay for. You don't pay to win.
You pay to have stuff.
They do, but they also reward creators. Like, yes, you can build a game, and then you can make money as people play that game too, which is, I think, that's great.
No, that is great, and I think that's a great new economy, and they should do that for Fortnite. I'm not saying every game needs to have a game builder in it, but there's
some crazy stuff in Roblox people have built.
Oh,
really
yeah,
neat.
My kids play it. They're like, it's a whole Five Nights at Freddy's simulator. It's like, oh wow, you made the whole game. That's nuts. So anyway, I guess to wrap up my case, Judge, see before you the cash grabs and the inadequate games and stupid remakes or unnecessary remakes. Please take into consideration, you judge and you, the jury, to rectify the gaming industry and find them guilty of crimes against the players. And that we
find the defendant guilty.
Oh no! And that their punishment is to do better, or else we won't buy any more games.
We're not going to buy your games.
Even though
good games.
Even though we're going to just buy games because we need something to play. Like, another note, Judge, and to enforce that is The Witcher 1 remake. Yes, it needs it, but we could use with another Witcher game. A good line from...
While we're here, Judge, we have a long list of demands, including a new Witcher game, a new Elder Scrolls game.
Yep. Oh, yes. To quote Kylo Ren from the very debatable, good or bad Star Wars... what was it? 8? It was 7. No, 8. It was 8. Let the past die, is what Kylo Ren says. And so we need to let go. Let it die. Move forward. Let it die. Stop remaking. Just go forward.
But buy a new cape.
Buy a
new horse armor.
While
you're there.
Yeah, for $50. All right. Well, thanks for listening to Pause Button. Like, subscribe, follow on YouTube and Apple Podcasts.
And send us your thoughts, ideas, and reactions to emails at pausebuttongaming.com. Have a great week. And don't forget, when life gets hectic, sometimes you need to hit the pause button.